Okay, so thanks everyone for coming along. We're at Friday of week 2 of the boot camp. I know we've spent a week delving heavily into the Azure system. We've got another week's allowance in terms of getting upskilled with the last parts of the Microsoft Learn portal, and then some knowledge check questions and things. And I'm going to throw some knowledge check questions your way during today's session. There's going to be some other activities to do as well. But one thing I wanted to talk about first was something I alluded to in the group chat, and just make sure that we're all clear on that. So I talked about this was the original structure that we proposed, where we're going to do the cloud systems first, and then the AZ 900 exam. I put in 15th of October as a penciled in date. I'm still waiting on confirmation from our Microsoft lead at BCU on how we do that best, what's the right advice and things, and if that's possible to do on that date. So we may move back slightly, but we'll make sure that we have that it's a date that works for everyone, that we set up for. Okay. Then we were going to do some Excel and statistics. There is a certification for that, and again, our other Microsoft lead, who's an expert on Excel, is just finding that out. But we've got loads and loads of benchmark material and things. Excel isn't often seen as a data science or data skill, but actually data manipulation can be done on a small scale far quicker often in Excel than it can in any programming language or in the cloud or with other tools and techniques that are designed for bigger jobs or more complex data and things. It's also really valuable in an organization to have good Excel skills. So that's why I wanted to spend a week on that. So there's some in-depth tutorials, exercises and stuff that we'll be going through for that after next week. So that'll be week 4. We were then going to spend a few weeks on data science and doing some programming with Python. So getting you to start with just writing some lines of code and getting some experience hands-on with some data, seeing what we can do, some group projects as well, and some individual projects to build up that portfolio of things, and then we can turn it into an online blog or a video or an explanation or something to then build that online presence of yours even further. And then we were going to spend a relatively longer time on the AI, thinking that it conceptually some of the AI may be more difficult for people to appreciate or understand, and to follow the guides for. Now, based on how everyone's been doing so far, and it's been really lovely to see how interactive you've all been and pushing ahead with all the materials, I had proposed that we do a bit of a swap around, actually, because we've allocated a lot of time for this AI because of the theoretical, in theory, hurdles to get uncomfortable with that. But with the way that you've all seemed to grasp hold of the cloud systems, kept up with material, the study pace, and things like, we expected it to take longer to set up things like LinkedIn, get people networking, get you thinking about those things, and your outlook for that has just been brilliant. So there's just not worth us spending this much time, I think, on the artificial intelligence setup prior to the exam. So what I was proposing was swapping the AI and then the data science around. Now, it might seem a bit odd going, because you typically do your data first and then you've got your AI stuff, and get your AI to solve the problem for you. But from the Microsoft Azure portal side and the certification there, you can do the AI first and then more nuts and bolts and practical data handling and things afterwards. So I think we can teach that in a way that will make sense still, absolutely. And I don't think we need to spend as much time on the AI course, but to be clear, this will be flexible, this endpoint here. So if we need to take longer on some of the fundamentals of AI, we absolutely can. All we'll do is shift along some of the data science and Python aspects and make that take less time. But in theory, I think we should be fine allowing about, give or take, the same amount of time as we are for the cloud platform system, for the AI 900 exam and getting you upskilled in that. So we will make sure there's plenty of time still. Now, this will still be part of the online aspect, although some of the AI bits will be done face-to-face then, I think, just because of the timing that it'll work. So we'll end up with face-to-face happening about here, if I remember rightly. Yeah, mid-November. So there will be some face-to-face at the tail end of AI, where you get time in the room with Steve going through stuff in more detail, being more comfortable about asking questions and things. But he will still be streaming online wherever possible as well to make sure that it's accessible to everyone and recording, because we fully appreciate life is going on around the outside of this boot camp. And then we can go further and further with the data if people are interested. What I'd like to do, I mean, we're talking about data projects, and I've got a couple of data sets that would work for mini data projects and a whole host of different areas that we could go into. But the way this bootcamp works naturally is that our goal is to get you into employment. The best way of doing that is to make sure you have desirable skills, and we're doing that with the Azure courses. We're going to hit that Excel course, and with the data and some of the programming and some of the SQL that we're going to be covering. So if we're doing all of that anyway, the best thing that we can do then is make sure that you advance as far as possible. Easiest way from an educator point of view of doing that is making sure that you're enthused and excited about what we're teaching you. So we need to make sure that the case studies that we're using are interesting, and we can do that quite easily. But what we really need to make sure is that the data and the project you're working on are interesting. So we can, from a data side, go far into image analysis, or we can do a bit of images, text, general data cleaning and wrangling and modifying and joining and some of the database aspects too. So we can do all of those things as an even spread. But then there's the application side as well. So it's understanding from our point of view what you're interested in, to see it applied to. So I think I talked a bit about this during the induction presentation, anyway, to say what core areas, just trying to find it on the slide, here we go, what core areas might you be interested in seeing? And there are a push for a couple, think of finance and healthcare, but more specifically, if there's sub areas that you're really interested in, then we can find data for that and prepare to talk about that. And I can try and get some guest speakers in too, hopefully, about some of these areas. So it's just, again, I'm sure you've already told me this during the first session, but if there's a particular area you think I really want to see, to do data applied to finance, for instance, in particular cryptocurrencies or stocks and shares or XYZ, then we can build something around that, and it can be either a whole session or it can be a whole week-long project where we start and we say, okay, we're going to look at stocks and shares in the data science aspect. In order to do that, we need to make sure we cover the fundamentals of data that depends on time, and then we can build that up into some of the programming aspects, and then we'll look at the data sources, and then you spend a couple of days getting stuck into it, writing a blog or doing a video or something, and then getting that online. So I'm constantly thinking about building our online presence and profile about all of this stuff. And that's the best way of you reporting it and practicing how you would do that in employment. So the first thing to check is if everyone's okay with this swap from this setup that we'd originally planned to more of this kind of a setup.
Yeah, sounds fine.
Okay, that's good to know. If anyone has a problem with that, then please let me know. We will still be doing, as we've done before, online for the first half. So that's up until about here, and then face-to-face from here on. So say half the AI stuff will be, or part of the AI stuff will be online, part of it will be face-to-face. That's the plan. But if we need to spend more time even on the Excel stuff, we can, absolutely. These are the core things for the employability front that you can then badge yourself with, and then that shows that you've got those base skills. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the priority, and this is the wish list stuff of, okay, we can get a few meaty projects and some interesting stuff in there, but ultimately, if we have a week for data and Python stuff, fine. If we have a month for that, great, we can cover even more. But that's the wish list of the nice to do stuff. Okay, and then there's the focal points too. So if there's a specific area or sub area that you're really interested in, that you think I'd really like to understand this more from a data point of view and to be able to use some AI in there, then I just need to know in advance, really. So if you know now that you think, oh, I'm really interested in X, Y, and Z, tell me. Otherwise, if you can have a think about it over the weekend and then come back next week and let me know, it just gives us time to make sure that we've got a good data set and a really good walkthrough setup. Because with some data sets, naturally, with experience for certain, like myself and Steve, we'll naturally go, okay, so we've got our data, we'll process it, we'll clean it, and then right, we'll start our analysis. And that's far too quick for where we are with you guys. We need to make sure that we're step by step going, right, this is the interesting thing about that data. This is peculiarity. That's why we need to do X, Y, and Z. So we need to make sure we're spending the time early on and planning that. Okay. So as far as the rest of today's session goes, there's sort of 3 focal points that I've got for us. So based on yesterday, I'm hoping, and please let me know if this isn't the case, that's still absolutely fine, because it was again a self-directed thing to work through. But I'd asked you to start working on the part 2 of the Microsoft Learn course and part 3 also. So that was this one, describe core solutions and management tools on Azure, which then feeds into the exam. So we at this point here, we had presentation 3 covered aspects of part 5 and some of the tail end of part 4 on this. So we've got 4 sets of slides, but 6 actual Microsoft Learn modules to work through. So I was going to ask everyone today to work through part 4 of that. So I'll share the link for that in a second. If I just get that up. So that's the general security and network security features. So work through that, the videos, the exercises and things. Did you play about with the sandbox activities on part 2 or part 3?
I haven't yet. I was thinking of doing it on the weekend.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, me too. I haven't finished them yet.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. That's absolutely fine. What I might do, I'll post the link today, and then I think I'm getting to the point where I'm probably, if some of you, if you kept up with it, then that's good. But I'll keep you busy. But beyond that, for people, I don't want to keep posting stuff and saying, oh, keep doing this, do this, and do this. And if you need more time, then that's fine. So what I'll do, I'll post an update list on Monday to say this is the things that I've asked you to do as a bit of a tick list, so you can each tick them off. And then if you struggle or need more time for that, then let me know, because I don't want you to feel obligated to do work outside of these 2 hours at the moment. I know some of you will have more time than others, but I don't want to be a burden at all for everyone. So for those who have done the 3rd part, then today's activity was going to be the 4th part, and I'll be posting up some detailed knowledge check quiz. I know that there are some knowledge check quiz at the end of the Microsoft one, like Learn portal sessions, but there's only a couple of them. They're not that detailed as far as I'm concerned from an educator point of view. So I've got a more detailed set of questions. So I'll be creating those a bit like I did for the first part one. And great work everyone on all of those. So we had like nearly 100% on all of the questions. So well done. I'll post those little quizzes out into this chat for you to work through alongside or after you've gone through the Microsoft Learn things, and I'll get those on the checklist for Monday. Okay. The only other thing I was going to talk about, but I think I'll push this off to next Friday. I like Fridays always to be a bit different as a day of the week whenever I'm working. I try my best to, when I'm teaching, schedule all teaching and meetings earlier in the week, have a bit of a really hectic, busier earlier of the week, and then Friday can be the day for research or for weird or wonderful projects wherever possible and catching up. And I quite like that idea for you guys too, and it's not that uncommon in smaller and newer tech companies as well, to have that kind of a setup. So as next week's Wacky Friday project, I think we'll have a bit of a group discussion, because there's this growing push online with, although lots and lots of more people are migrating to the cloud all the time, there is some very senior software developers and people questioning the value of the cloud to an organization and from an infrastructure point of view. And these are very experienced and knowledgeable people from software development and clouds and infrastructure systems. So naturally there is an aspect of, although every cloud provider will tell you the cloud saves you money, lots of times companies don't quite find it does give them a cost saving. It does give them other benefits, so they still stick with the cloud systems, but they expect to halve their infrastructure costs. And oftentimes they don't find it quite halves at all. They find it actually goes up slightly. Now, whether the security or additional aspects work, fine for them, and it's an individual organizational choice. There is also an environmental point about this, and I think we'll have this as a bit of a discussion next week, because we need to be mindful as people working in this fourth industrial age, as it were, given the damage that the previous industrial ages have made to the world. So we need to think of the environmental and the green impact really of using cloud systems. And there are lots of arguments to easily shrug it off and go, I know it's fine. It's all better because it's someone else doing the processing and they're far more efficient. But I don't think it quite works out quite that simply. So I think we'll have a bit of a group discussion next Friday about that, the green credentials of the cloud, whether or not it is actually a green solution, or if it could be done much better. So next steps for today for everyone. If you have those other parts to go through, then feel free to work through those. Otherwise, I've posted the link for part 4, and there'll be some knowledge checks getting posted, and again a bit of a checklist just to go, these are the things that I have asked us to do, making sure that we're all working towards that preparation for the AZ900 exam. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So for the blogs, do we have a deadline today for the blogs? I just wanted to have some, maybe I should email them?
Yeah, so I put only because when I set up these little assignment things, just because I'm doing that to make sure that we've got all the files saved in a right accessible, easy place.
Mm-hmm.
So the deadline I put today, but I'm happy to move that back if you want more time. So if I can put that back, so it can be submitted late. That's not a problem. As far as I think you can still submit after the deadline on Microsoft Teams, so it doesn't have to be by today. But the ones that have been submitted today, I'm going to have a look at them later on and give some feedback on that to make sure that we're building those up to be the best representation of your work that they can be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So and then we'll get those once I've given you some feedback on those. I'd suggest that we post those next week.
I just have a question. Should I upload it on the section of files or the assignment?
The assignment, please.
Assignment, okay. Thank you.
One thing I would like to add, I didn't know that we had to press, the hand in button. So I thought I'll discuss it just in case if, anybody else is thinking like me. So I was thinking, why is this there? I have uploaded that.
Yep. Thank you, Rita. Yes, you have to click that hand in button. This is one of the really annoying things about Teams, and that I wish I could have a student account so that I could see what it looks like from your view, because it just doesn't show me that at all. And even if you say look at it as a student, it just shows you the assignment, but not the hand in button, because it doesn't want you to actually hand anything in. So yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm gonna sign off the video and the screen share now. And if you've got any questions, I'll be in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, feel free to keep going working through those activities, and I'll check in with you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ian. I'm still on